Fernando Mendoza presser reaction from the NFL Combine coming at you here from Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report. This show doesn't even need an intro. I know why y'all clicked on this video. I know that back here with the nation, the number one thing that everybody wanted to see was what does Fernando Mendoza have to say at the Combine. So what I decided to do today is I picked some of my favorite clips, just give you a little bit of my reaction, and also I'll show you at the very end. He answered one of my questions, but here's the thing. I was up close, front and center. I think I was the first person here at the frickin' Combine. I could almost smell Fernando Mendoza. That's how close I was to him, and I want him to be a Raider. And if you feel the exact same way, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn on those notifications, and hopefully you appreciate all the exclusive content that me and my team here at Chat Sports have been able to provide. Let's go to the very first one here, and he mentions that he met with the Raiders. I know we all thought and knew he was going to meet with the Raiders, but the only example that I can possibly give this to you is when I looked at my wife dead in the eyes and I said, Alexandra Sofia Castillo, will you marry me? I think I knew she was going to say yes, but until I actually heard it, I was a little bit nervous. So actually hearing him say that, yes, I met with the Raiders was an awesome experience, and I'm going to kick it over to this clip right now.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have a formal interview with the Las Vegas Raiders. It was a fantastic interview. The coaching staff was in there. We went over some of my previous plays, drew some plays on the board. Thought it was a great meeting. And I know they had the prospective number one pick, but anything could happen in the draft. And I'm just excited for the opportunity. And whatever team drafts me, I'm going to give everything I got to them.
He does mention that it's a formal interview, so that's another name that we can add to our list here of players that have met with the Raiders. He said it was a fantastic interview, and one of the things that I love and I respect that, again, I don't know exactly who he met with. I know that Tom Brady personally was not there, and we'll talk about TB12 here in just a little bit. But to me, I'm actually proud of, and I would imagine it was Spytek. I would imagine it's Clint Kubiak. I know both of those guys are here in Indianapolis, but the fact that they drew up a play for him, I think showed another level of, hey, I want to see how you think. This is how we're going to coach it. And if you're a learner the way that I think that you're a learner, then let's see how we can possibly work together. So I was very impressed with the fact that the Raiders did that. Let's go to Tom Brady. Fernando Mendoza called Brady earlier this offseason his football icon. He said his dad is his icon, but his football icon is Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, I would say, is the number one player on planet Earth. If I could meet anybody in the football world, I would probably pick Mr. Brady. Hell, I think if you were to ask non-football fans who's the number one person in the football world who you'd want to meet, I think my wife would want to meet Tom Brady. Here's what Fernando Mendoza had to say, though, about his experience talking to Tom Brady here at the Combine.
Yeah, when I walked into the formal interview for the Raiders, I was able to say a brief hi on the phone to Brady, and so that was very special to me, and look forward to meet him in person hopefully one day and learning from him.
I'm kind of, this might be an unpopular opinion. I do think if you're planning on taking a guy number one overall, I'm a big first impressions dude. I kind of wish Brady would have been there in the building. Now, it's still nice to be able to get him on the phone. It's still nice to be able to say, like, hi, hello, and all that. But I'm a guy that wants the cherry on top. And I think if Brady would have been here, we would have been able to get that cherry on top. I also, if you go back, and I want you all to go back, and I want you to listen to this, because when he says, looking forward to hopefully meeting him one day, I think he wanted to say that he was actually, looking forward to meeting him. And, Mendoza was a professional at the presser. I mean, you could tell, man, he was trained on how to answer a lot of questions. I think he did a good job answering questions that's still dodging bullets. But one of the other clips here that I want to be able to show you is him saying that he was mentored by Tom Brady and why he would love to be mentored by Mr. Brady. So we're going to kick it over to that clip right now.
Yeah, I mean, who hasn't admired Tom Brady? The guy has, more Super Bowl rings than anybody. So that opportunity would be fantastic. Tom Brady, I believe, is the greatest quarterback of all time by a wide margin, and to be able to have the opportunity to be mentored by him would mean so much, and especially to learn, and I'm all about learning. So from day one, I got to learn a lot, and it's going to be a long journey, and to potentially have a mentor like that, be pretty impressive and pretty meaningful.
He's right, though. Who hasn't admired Tom Brady? In all honesty, I mean, who if a football fan has never admired the guy that's won more Super Bowls than anybody, who is the greatest quarterback of all time? And he doesn't only say, he's the greatest of all time. He says he's the greatest by a wide margin. Like, for me, doing this show, when I always want to make an example, I'm always like, it's this and it's not even close. I feel like he literally said that in his own words. And then, the other thing that I think he threw in there was like, obviously he would love to play for him. You got to love the admiration. But when you're trained very well like Mendoza is, once in a while you get that light in your eyes. And when he talks about Tom Brady, it reminds me of a kid on Christmas morning who can't wait to unwrap some gifts. And I think Fernando Mendoza is really excited to be able to work with Brady in Las Vegas. Let's go to another clip here in just a moment about building chemistry. But I think I speak on behalf of all of Raider Nation here. I believe that I am the voice of Raider Nation. The Raiders Report is the #1 show on the planet. And I want you all to hit that like button if you agree with the photo up on screen. Bonus points if you know what movie this is from. Because at this point, I'm Fernando Mendoza, #1 overall, no matter what. And if you've seen my handwriting, my handwriting probably would fit the picture of that pretty damn well. Let's go to the next part here in our clips around Fernando Mendoza, and he talks about the importance of building chemistry. And for an organization that has hired 6 head coaches since 2021, an organization that has brought in all these different players, all these different regimes, and it's been kind of a melting pot of sorts, I think being able to find a quarterback like Mendoza, who was at Cal, comes to Indiana, then you got a lot of players who were with Curt Cignetti, who came from, small schools. We're talking JMU, then to Indiana. I mean, there's a lot of transferring throughout that entire process. So I think, being able to find guys that all mesh well together is very important, especially for that quarterback in his first year. This is what he had to say about building team chemistry, and I think you guys are going to like it a lot.
Yeah, chemistry is everything. And throughout the season, we were able to build better chemistry from game 1 all the way to game 16. I think it was really shown by the back shoulder balls. We had so many great catchers and great receivers, whether it's tight ends, running backs, or receivers. And most of the balls that we threw, especially in the latter half of the season, were on time, they were accurate, they were with good anticipation, and the receivers all made great catches with strong hands and had great yak as well. So I think that preparation from day 1 in spring, it's always a continuous process, and looking forward to working with my new teammates.
I think my #1 takeaway from that clip is how much he talked about back shoulder throws. And from watching him in the college football playoffs, watching a lot of tape on him, whether that was an Omar Cooper Jr., and Elijah Surratt, or, Hecker, whoever the heck it was, I think that always being able to show that back shoulder throw, and it's actually a play that I've discussed multiple times on the Raiders Report about the Raiders needing to find a receiver that can really do that. To me, the #1 guy in free agency that I think would be just a perfect fit with Mendoza is Alec Pierce, who already is much like his buddy at Indiana, number 80. Again, watching him catch those back shoulder throws, man, very, very special talent from top to bottom. Let's go to the final part here, and then I'm going to tell you about our sponsor in a little bit, and then we got some more clips coming up. But the staff, it's a savvy staff, and I don't know if y'all saw the report card come out on the Raiders. A lot of A's, a lot of B pluses, and anything under essentially a B, they replaced. Chip Kelly got an F, special teams got a C. I think having a savvy staff and having a staff that Fernando Mendoza respects is extremely important. And you could tell in this clip coming up that he does truly respect the Las Vegas Raiders coaching staff.
Yeah, I would say that they're very football savvy. They're very football savvy, which is great to see. They taught me a play, and they had their whole progression of how they teach the quarterbacks to play. And it was very similar how my Indiana progression was. I'm a very type A guy, and they had all the details of each play, what to do if you get a problem with each play, what's drop, what's your progression, and that's something that I really enjoy.
So I love that he said that he's a type A guy, because I don't personally know Tom Brady, but I think Tom Brady is very much of a type A guy. And if you don't know what type A means, it's essentially highly organized, competitive, and patient, often, is able to really thrive in some high-pressure situations. And if that's the type of guy Mendoza is, being able to, break down some of those plays in the moment to just see how he processes information that he maybe doesn't expect right away. Because, again, from somebody who saw Mendoza at the Super Bowl, saw Mendoza here at the Combine, got to meet him, he's so well prepared. So if I'm a coaching staff, I'm thinking, how the heck can I throw this guy a curveball? So type A guy, I think that's a beautiful, beautiful mesh for what we have and, quite frankly, what we need with the silver and black. We got some more clips coming up here in just a little bit about Fernando Mendoza, and I'm telling y'all, awesome to be able to really see him close in person. He is an outstanding human being, and Fernando Mendoza is going to be the number one pick in the NFL draft, and I can't wait to see it happen. Speaking of the number one pick, I got a number one pick here, and that's Prize Picks, America's number one fantasy sports app out there. You can shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right, Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, every board that much more exciting. So don't miss the chance to get started on America's number one app for sports picks. If you want, you can do whatever play is best for you. If you're looking for a power play, hey, go put a power play in. If you're looking for a flex play, you can go that route as well. But Prize Picks is very simple to play. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get your picks right, you can end up cashing in. It's available in all 50 states. Prize Picks also, they're going to put their users first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks accepts most major payment methods using deposits into your account. Quick and easy this sports season. So download the Prize Picks app today. Make sure that you use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Let's now move it here to Omar Cooper Jr. He spoke about one of his buddies. He could be the top wide receiver from Indiana selected. Trying to get an interview with Omar Cooper here in a little bit, but unfortunately haven't been able to see him yet here at the Combine. But just listen to the level of respect that comes out of Mendoza's mouth when talking about his receiver, and listen to who he compares Omar Cooper Jr. to in the NFL.
I know. I mean, the body control he has is crazy. And I know people compare him to Deebo Samuel, and I believe Omar's a receiver, by far more than a running back, but that's what I see. It's like a prime Deebo Samuel and obviously Deebo's a great player, so the upside in that aspect. And he has great body control, great hands. He can really play any position on the field, and have him as a receiver that can, be a gadget guy, also take it deep, and also have great routes and hands, especially the quarterback. And he helped make me this year. So really, just shout out to him. He's also a great teammate. He's also a great teammate as well.
Prime Deebo Samuel. The moment he said that, I think a light bulb should have went off in all y'all's minds, because if you don't know, Deebo Samuel actually played with Raiders head coach Clint Kubiak in the 2023 season. Now, Kubiak wasn't the OC there, but he was a pass game coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy had the best year of his career, throwing for over 31 touchdowns. But in that season, Deebo Samuel in 2023, 89 targets, 60 catches, 892 yards, 7 touchdowns, which is a career high from him as a receiving standpoint. But he also had 225 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. I bring that up because I do wonder if Deebo actually could be a fit for the Silver and Black. He is a free agent wide receiver, but if you know that you can get a Deebo much cheaper, and it's a guy that's already got a connection to Fernando Mendoza, I'm just saying, the Raiders got, you got to pick at 67. You might want to take Omar Cooper Jr. at 67, but I'll say this, I don't think he's going to make it to 67. I think he's going to be a top 50 player depending on how some of those medical checks come out. Let's now go to the next part here, and I think one of the biggest reasons why Indiana ended up winning a national championship, and I think one of the biggest reasons why Fernando Mendoza ended up winning a Heisman Trophy for that program, it's because they do the small things well. Curt Cignetti just pounded, hey, we're going to win the minor battles. We're going to dot our I's. We're going to cross our T's. And there's a reason why the Raiders are the number one pick in the draft. They didn't do that well last season. Here's what Mendoza had to say about the importance of just some of those small details and how it can make a big difference.
Well, no, the pick has not been selected yet, and whatever team drafts me, I'm extremely grateful. Like I said, whether it's number one pick or whether it's last pick in the draft, I'd be blessed and honored to be drafted by any team and give them my all. The possibility, we see how the NFL turns around so much. NFL, the margins are so small. There's so many games decided by so few points, and the difference between, a losing record and a winning record is a couple of drives, is a couple of key plays. And so whatever team I'm on, I'm just going to take that advice and take the coaching from the coaching staff, and however I can best serve my teammates on that team, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I would say because the margins are so small, and if you really obsess over the small details, it gives you the small edge, and then you're able to jump and you're able to improve and able to get better than the competition, especially when you're talking about like nutrition, for example, or your discipline. And if you're disciplined and you really stay consistent, then you're going to be able to rise to the rankings. And I think that's something that I really prided myself on, whether it's at Cal, whether it's at Indiana, you can't really listen to social media, but all like the national quarterback rankings. Like I think I was like the 134th quarterback, or like coming out of my own class in high school. And so I was raw. I mean, that was a true ranking. Like I was a raw prospect. I was terrible. And and so it's all about small ones every day and all about discipline.
I love the fact that he remembered like 134th ranked quarterback. But one of the questions that I actually thought about asking him was like, "Hey man, you've been the underdog your entire career. You're not really the underdog anymore, the number 1 overall pick. Like how is that going to impact you?" And he was actually kind of asked something like that similar. If you want to go check it out, it is in the full interview already up on the channel. But to me, when you are so small oriented, the small margins, that does remind me a lot of Tom Brady. And the right-hand man to Brady right now in this Raiders organization, and he's been tied to his hip for basically his entire career, is Alex Guerrero. He talks about diet. He talks about just those little things to be able to really extend your career. And, again, I think when I look at Fernando Mendoza, the way that he thinks about the game is very similar to a way, a guy like Tom Brady is. Let's go to the next part here. And, Mendoza was asked essentially, like, why football is special. And I don't know what anybody does out there. I'm obviously host of the Raiders Report. I want Fernando Mendoza to be the best version that he can possibly be here for the Las Vegas Raiders. But at the end of the day, you got to look at yourself in the mirror every day, and you got to wake up and you got to go, why am I waking up? Why do I want to be the best version of myself? And I'll say this right now. I love doing this job. There's nothing I'd rather do. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I think there's a lot of people out there that feel the exact same way about you doing what you do. So to hear Mendoza, why he loves football, I think it's just another reason of like, can we just send the flipping pick in already? Let's kick it over to our future quarterback here.
As a child, you kind of get thrown into the fire. You get thrown into all these different sports. But I believe the thing that made football so special to me was the strategy of the game, the way that you really had to combine with your teammates for a positive result. Football is not a one-man game. It's in tackle football, it's an 11-man game. At that point, I was playing flag football, which is like a 5-man game. And at that point, combine with the strategy, because if you're not the smartest, you can still outwill your way in physical. If you're not the fastest, you can always be smart and and have good instincts. And there's just so many different angles that you can be successful in, and I just love the variety in that. If you see all the NFL superstars, there's no cookie cutter mold that you need to be.
He looks at football as a chess match, and covering the Raiders as closely as I have since 2018, we need as many guys as possible that are playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. The problem, we've been the team playing checkers when everyone else has been playing chess. Coming up next here on the Raiders Report is going to be the question that I asked Fernando Mendoza. I'll explain to you why exactly I went with the question that I did. And, I had to get here early. The doors opened at 7. Me and my team were here at 6:50. I will say proudly that I was the very first person that you guys would recognize. Hondo Carpenter actually sent his other buddy, I think his name was Clark. And Clark, hopefully I remember, I love talking to you today. Hondo sent Clark to stand in his place there for a little while. Vinny came a little bit after. Hondo ended up showing about 20 minutes, 30 minutes after I did. And there was a lot of Raiders guys there. I think I saw Q in the background as well. But to me, I wanted y'all to know that I don't care how early I had to get there, I was going to be front row center. Because if I'm going to expect commitment of excellence out of our future quarterback, again, I don't know how I can prove to y'all how much I love my job and how much I'm always going to do my best to hustle, but I was very proud to be the very first person at that spot holding it down. There was one person who had a freaking tripod camera, but he wasn't there. So to me, I was the very first person there. Me and Clark were hanging out, and we were waiting for the Mendoza presser. The reason why I bring that up is because I did have a gift for Mendoza, so in my mind, I was like, I also want him to know that I got something for him. And if you haven't already, make sure you guys get your hands on our Fernando Mendoza shirt. If you need to, the link is chatsports.com/Mendoza. It is going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. What was really funny is as soon as the presser is done, I look at Fernando and I go, "Hey, Fernando, I got a gift for you." And he, turned his head back around at me, and he was kind of like, oh, haha, he laughed. And I was like, no, dude, I'm serious. You got to take this shirt, or else my boss is going to kill me. So I not chase him, but, there's a path where the guys are walking. So I start following that path, and I'm like hobbling really bad right now. I got a Raiders tattoo. I put it on my IG Twitter at MitchellRens365 if you guys want to go see it. So I'm like walking towards Mendoza and Mendoza's guy, and he was getting ready to hop on another show. I handed my shirt to the person who he was handling with. Me and Mendoza locked eyes, and I go, hey, man, whether you want the shirt or not, this guy's going to hold on to it for you. And the guy, we shook hands. So I can say I'd give it 3 just win babies that Fernando Mendoza has this shirt over here. So if you want to get it, if you think that the Raiders are going to draft him, I'm all in on this guy right here. Chatsports.com/Mendoza. Let's wrap up this show. Let's put a bow on it, if you will, with the question that I asked Fernando. So essentially my thought process was I wanted Fernando to sell himself to the Las Vegas Raiders, right? Because you get a lot of these questions like, why should you be the #1 overall pick? Which is essentially what I asked him. But, my question to him was, if you don't go #1 overall, what would you tell the team that passed on you? Because the only team that would pass on him would be the Las Vegas Raiders. So I wanted him to sell himself, which he kind of does a little bit, but he also mentions a number, and that number is 199. And if you don't know the relevance of that number, it's when Tom Brady was drafted. So with that being said, let's kick it over here to my question to Mendoza.
Go #1 overall, what would you say to the team that passed on you?
Nothing. There's so many great players in this class. I mean, we saw the Ohio State guys run yesterday. There's plenty of Indiana guys who are great in the draft as well, and I'm just honored to be a part of the group. There'll be no hard feelings. There's so many things that organizations and business they got to do for themselves, and I'm just trying to be the best me possible. And whatever team drafts me, I'm grateful, whether it's the #1 pick or whether it's the 199th pick.
It was very humbling, again, just to have him answer the question because, man to man, I mean, this is a young dude who's literally just up there. He also made a joke about how he's like, this is the most important interview that he's ever done because he's unemployed and that he hopes to get employed on April 23rd. But there's a big reason why I'm able to put food on my table. There's a big reason why I'm able to put, lights above my head. And it's, Fernando, you're helping me do that, dude. So at the end of the day, man, greatly appreciate the fact that, you answered all the questions from everybody today, because if there's one thing that I really respect about Fernando, about what he did today, one, he was early. You don't really see many of the guys showing up here to the podium early, and he was only early by 2 minutes, like a minute, 2 minutes. That's a big one to me. Like, if there's one guy, and I'm telling you, biggest crowd here at the Combine was Fernando Mendoza, and he showed up early. That big thing, #1. The only other player that I've seen at the Combine verbally say, and if you go check out the full video that we did on this, you'll actually be able to hear him say it. But Fernando made it very clear to all of us, like in the front, that he's not going to answer multiple questions from anybody. And he would scan the audience, he would look at people, and he made sure that every single person got a question. Now, obviously, there's a time limit. We're talking like a 17-minute interview. But in a lot of the other pressers I was able to do, I'm able to get 1, 2, 3, 4 questions in. Mendoza knew that everybody deserved a question, and it just kind of made me love him and respect him, just a little bit more. So I got a question for all of y'all out there. What was your favorite Mendoza line from this presser? And if you made it this far in the video, greatly appreciate the fact that you tuned in. And here's the thing. If you want to listen to the entire presser on the Raiders Report YouTube channel, you can actually do it. So here's the thumbnail. Shout out to my guy, Reed. He cooked this one up for me today. It's absolutely unbelievable. And, again, I know y'all see me. I'm the guy that talks about the Raiders. But our entire Chat Sports team here, from Sam Brown to my guy AP, he's up in the Cincy office. He's been pushing a lot of the buttons for me today. Marshall Green, Chase Sr., Chip, Tom Downey, Billy Beebe. It's been an unbelievable experience, and my entire team has been hustling, and there's a big reason why we've been pumping out the amount of content that we have. But if you want to check out the full exclusive interview presser with Fernando Mendoza from the Combine, that video is going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Before I hop on out of here, though, Fernando, I met you at the Super Bowl. I met you at the Combine. Whether you keep the shirt or not, Raider Nation's always going to have your back, and I promise you this, I'm always going to have your back, and I'm going to keep on doing everything I can to get you here on the Raiders Report.